I'm just talking about the simple act of you have an individual who is doing stuff to get a response, right? And why do we feel like we need to respond to that? Why do we feel like we need to answer a fool according to his folly, right? Why do we feel like we need to engage that, knowing that he's doing it for a specific purpose? All right, so welcome to the Church Dropout podcast. My name is Alan. I'm the host, and I'm here with the co-host,
Lisa.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like, rate, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast at. We'd appreciate it. So today, I want to talk about trolling. Okay. And in specific, I want to talk about how Christians should respond to trolling in general, like how we should respond to trolling, especially when it comes to things that are related to Christianity. The reason why this has come up is because, I've been thinking about what Lil Nas X has been doing and a lot of the things that he's been dabbling in, religious things. And I've seen a lot of responses to what he's doing, but, I'm wondering if he's just trolling us. Okay. And he's using us
trolling us as Christians.
Right? He's trolling Christians and using Christians to, promote his album or to get clicks. He's just kind of using us. And how should we respond? Because he does these things that are super outrageous, like, taking communion and kind of taking all the communion elements or putting himself like on a cross and stuff like that. He does these outrageous things that he knows are going to cause a reaction, and we react. And in some senses, I feel like we play right into his hand. Should we respond to trolls? Should we respond to trolling? How should we respond to trolling? So we could start there.
Okay. How we should respond to trolling. Do you have the definition there?
Yeah.
Okay. First,
do you want me to read it first, or do you want to read it?
Yeah, I can read it. Let me see. Trolling, as it relates to internet, is the deliberate act by a troll of making a random, unsolicited, and or controversial comments on various internet forums with the intent to provoke an emotional knee-jerk reaction from unsuspecting readers to engage in a fight or argument. So when I think of trolling as, somebody listening to what you're saying on YouTube or your Facebook comments or your Instagram or whatever, and then wanting to go against what you're saying or whatever and be negative towards what you're saying just to get your attention, to get your attention or other people's attention, So.
But that's a form of trolling.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, you just ignored the definition that you just read.
Did I?
Oh, absolutely. But it's fine. Because I was just joking, but I don't think trolling is one thing. But that is a form of trolling.
Okay.
Right?
Because now trolling is a like a slang word, right? It's not necessarily.
No, it's a real word. Okay. I think like as this definition, if you read further on it, I think it has some weight in fishing and stuff like that, where the fishermen will put multiple lines in the water and attract, fish with fake bait in order to get them to bite. Okay. And that's what trolling is, right? Like somebody in the comments, you're right. Like if okay. We get it too. So if I'm looking at the comments and I'm reading the comments and somebody puts, Christians are degenerates. I see that as trolling. You're making an outlandish statement to try to get me to respond.
Yes.
I don't respond to that.
Yes. So.
Girl, you about to jump on me now. Y'all should have seen her. She was on. She almost. But right. So I don't respond. Right. sometimes I do. And and I'll get to what I think in the end. But yeah, so trolling can be from that aspect. I think the way the definition was stating, which I think is correct, is that you're bringing up something on social media or whatever for the sake of getting a reaction, and it's usually something that's outlandish or something that's it doesn't even have to be based in reality or true, or it could be something that is a situation or scenario or something you're responding to, but you're doing it with the intent of starting a fight, or you're doing it with the intent of getting a reaction. Right. So in our sense, the trolling to me would be, if we're looking at that, I already mentioned Lil Nas X.
Yes.
Boy, anyway, so in his sense, like, is he using all of these things, trolling the Christians by doing these outlandish things, in order to get Christians to talk about him, to get Christians to argue about these things, with his hopes is that it further promotes what it is that he's trying to do. Because all of this is done around his album, is done around the time he's dropping an album and all of that type stuff, right? And he's doing some pretty outlandish stuff. By the way, that I think is dangerous to play with and to mess with, okay? This is not a joke. Right? You know what I mean? This is probably not the thing you want to be trolling with. However, how should we respond? You understand what I'm saying? Like, how do we respond to a troll? But you were going to say something.
So to answer that question, sometimes I don't think you need to respond, because I feel like responding feeds into what the troll wants, so it's giving the troll a platform. And so it might even take you out of character. But on the other hand, now, if they're going against, so for instance, with Lil Nas X doing things like, drinking the communion, just downing it, and then you have him jumping on the cross or something like that, of course, that's wrong. You know what I mean? And, I know you might feel that maybe to address it, we have to give him a platform by saying his name, because, or talking about his video. But at the same time, there can be ways where we can just talk about why it is wrong to do X, Y, and Z. Why is it wrong to, depict getting on a cross?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you're about to say something?
Yeah, no, I was going to ask about something that you said, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
So who are we responding to?
So when we do, we're responding to Christians or to anybody actually that sees this. Now for this instance, Lil Nas X, we're probably going to get a lot more of the world that's going to be like, oh, okay, what are they talking about, Lil Nas X? It's not going to necessarily be Christians. You know what I mean? And my thought, because I honestly did not know who Lil Nas X was until the little Super Bowl commercial, and he was on the horse. You know what I mean? And then we had our son coming home from school singing one of his songs. You know what I mean? So we didn't even know who Lil Nas X, but they were playing it at school. You know what I mean? And so
I knew who he was, but I didn't know they were playing it at school until
he came home. Right. And so what was I going to say?
Yeah, so you're saying that basically you think we're responding to the world,
right?
Or to individuals.
What I was trying to say is, I don't really think a lot of Christians, now they could be, but I don't think a lot of Christians are, listening to Lil Nas X. And if they are listening to Lil Nas X, they're not listening in a way like lead me to Christ. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm just not sure. I guess when we respond, I understand what you're saying. You're saying respond because there are people out there that are going to get the wrong idea about the Christian faith if we don't respond to that. I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think people are looking at Lil Nas X to learn about the Christian faith. Like, I don't think people are going to take him seriously.
Right.
So I think if he's making a mockery or something, he's putting himself on a cross, I don't think anybody's going to come out of that and say, hey, I want to do what Lil Nas X is doing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't think, but see, because I don't think Christians really understand troll culture in that way. Like, they understand like when people are trolling, they know
that they're trolling.
The person who's trolling knows that they're trolling, and the people who who aren't Christians, and they know that they're trolling. Like I'm looking at videos, and I'm not saying that this tells the whole story, but I'm looking at videos on both sides. I'm looking at Christian videos responding, but I'm also looking at other videos talking about Lil Nas X is trolling Christians, and Christians are falling for it, right? You see what I'm saying? Like it's, and again, I'm not expecting them to understand the deeper things that are being affected here, right? With the things that Lil Nas X is playing with, okay? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the simple act of you have an individual who is doing stuff to get a response, right? And why do we feel like we need to respond to that? Why do we feel like we need to answer a fool according to his folly, right? Why do we feel like we need to engage that knowing that he's doing it for a specific purpose? And if we're saying we're doing it because, there's people out there that are going to hear it, we want to correct that truth. I mean, I get that. I'm not saying it's wrong to do that. I'm just saying that we're falling into the very trap that's being laid for us, right? Because the whole idea is to get you to talk about it.
Right.
And the sad part is when people are trolling, they know you just can't talk about the situation because it doesn't get the audience. You actually have to mention them in order to get it. This is why thumbnails on YouTube are important, because the thumbnail gets people to click on the actual video. Do you see what I'm saying? Right now, we're trying to build something counterculture to that. Not working very well, but we're trying to build something counterculture to that, right? Where we want to, like more returning people than we actually have people who are just scrolling by and clicking. But that's the whole purpose. If I just put up a video and say stop mocking God, or use a title that's a good title that some people have been using, and I just use that title, but I don't put Lil Nas X on there, and I just put stop mocking God and some other image, it's not going to get the clicks. Right. But if I put Lil Nas X picture on there and say stop mocking God, then it gets the clicks. Why? Because he is being talked about, and that's playing into what he actually wants. You understand what I'm saying? So I know it's let me just say it's not a black and white thing, right? I don't think that there's a right and a wrong way when it comes to how we should respond to trolling, but I do think we ought to be cautious, right, in how we respond to trolling, and I think we need to be cautious in what influence we give or how we use the influence that we do have, right? I don't think we need to jump to correct everything. And I get it. These are essential doctrines. These are things. But again, I'm not sure we need to jump out the window on every particular situation. Somebody says something, we out the window. All of a sudden there's 50 videos the next day. Mockery. He did this. Boom. It's just, okay.
Yeah.
And then it does what he wants. He's on the front page, and he's got all of the clicks, and he's just doing what he wants to do. Right. And we know he's doing it. He does it every single time. Like it's not out of his character to utilize this stuff to continue to push forward. At what point do we say enough is enough? You understand what I'm saying? You're not thoughtfully engaging any of this stuff.
Right.
Why address it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or address it from a different perspective that's going to get at the root, which is what I like to do, is try to look at it from a different angle, and let's try to cut at the root. Let's not make this about him. Let's make this about, about this. You understand what I'm saying? Not about, because the truth is I just don't think, I think Christians are taking this more seriously than, and we should to some degree, okay, because of what he's playing with. But I think Christians are taking this more seriously than the people who are following actually are. And I'm not sure that our words are actually affecting those individuals.
Right.
They're not looking at our channels.
Yes.
We're talking to our echo chamber. We're talking to those people whom we follow. And if you look at the comments, you'll see it. You'll see, amen. That's why I don't listen to, amen. Lil Nas X isn't, it's Christians. It's Christians just, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, don't mock him. You know what I mean? There's nothing there that's really speaking to the greater part of who his audience is. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know, and I could be wrong here. I'm just saying, like, I feel like Christians get punked. I feel like Christians get pulled into conversations as if we're the ones who have to respond. Right. We have the truth, but we're always responding to what's we have the truth. You know what I mean? And I feel like we get pulled into these conversations, and we get used to actually, further promote, what it is that they're trying to promote.
Right.
You know what I mean? So at the very least, I think we need to be very thoughtful of how we answer, what we answer, and look at this as an opportunity of stewardship too. Are we participating in this rat race of, are we paying too much attention to celebrities
right.
and what they say?
Right.
Are we giving too much credence to that stuff? Right. Are
Right.
we being moved, because the world doesn't move by the hand of those individuals. But sometimes we can act like the world does.
Yeah.
So just a few things in wrapping this up, just a few things that I think are at stake when we answer trolls. These are just some thoughts. I don't know. Right. One is distracting from the real fight. Right. Like if the enemy can get us to focus on everything but what the real issue is, then he's won. Right. It's like giving up this city in war, giving up this city, giving up the fight in this city in order to win the war, right? Oh no, we're not going to send any men over there because, we'll lose too many men. We're going to keep our men here, give them that city, but when they come around this, we're going to ambush them. And it's strategy to some degree, right? That the enemy uses. Just distract by pumping in a ton of information, and there's no focus by the Christian community. We're just addressing everything. We're just, there's no thought, right? In this. The second thing is most people don't live their lives online. I know we're content creators. I know that, we spend a lot of time looking at what's online, but most people don't care about what's going on online.
Right.
People got jobs. People got lives. I understand young people are online a lot, but most people don't live their lives online. When people are really dealing with these questions, they're really dealing with these types of issues. Very seldom do they go online to find those answers, especially now. It's just so saturated. But most people don't live their lives online. And how we think about these things is like, especially when celebrities say this stuff, we act like they have the whole world's attention. Just like you said, like, I didn't know who that was. That's because, you're not living your life online. You know what I mean? Now, Christians should be aware of those things.
Right.
Right. Sometimes we could be too far removed where we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Is this celebrity infatuation? Is this infatuation with celebrities and their influence? Like, do we believe that celebrities have more influence than they actually do? I think this can actually become celebrity worship by us Christians because we believe that their word is just that strong and that everything they say, we have to respond to.
Right.
Everything that they do, we have to, we have to respond. You know what I mean? And so we got to be careful. Every critique doesn't need to be answered. Right. And we got to look at the source, and we also just need to make sure that we're thinking through this in a way that I think would be glorifying to God. And then also that would be fitting for what's really going on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then lastly, or maybe two more things, virtues. And you mentioned this earlier, virtues like patience, self-control. We got to make sure we're not getting out of character with this stuff. Right. Like if this is knocking us off our stool and we're not exemplifying the virtues that Christ has given us, the fruit of the Spirit, if we're just responding to these things and we're not doing it in the Spirit of God, we got to check ourselves. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we still have to maintain our witness as we walk through these things. And then lastly, is fear culture. There's one thing in modern Christian culture and evangelical culture that sells more books, that sells tickets to conferences, and that's fear. Everything is about fear. The next boogeyman in evangelicalism, there's always this evil that we got to come up against. And people use fear to push us to do what we need to do. Yeah. And so what we do is we see things like this and we get fearful. We get fearful. Oh my gosh, he said this and people are going to be, and then we just start rushing to, we got to do something. We don't move out of fear.
Right.
We don't move irrationally out of fear. We don't move on our emotions. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. We think through, right? I mean, think about this. I'm not comparing us to Jesus, but Jesus in the Gospels, he's in a city, he's healing people, and people are being healed. And then Jesus says, I need to spend some time with my father. He goes off, spends some time with his father. He comes back the next day and he says, we need to leave this town. And the disciples are like, there's still work to be done here. The people in the village were like, there's still work to be done here. There's still people need to be healed. And he's like, I understand, but I got a mission.
Yeah.
Right. So we got to look at the mission. like we got to be focused on the big picture.
Yeah.
Not just what's in front of us,
right?
And get moved by what we see. The one thing that Jesus knew in that instance was that if I get to the cross, this town will be taken care of. You understand what I'm saying? Like healing's going to come. What you're getting right now is a taste of what's going to come. But if I continue on mission, and I get to where I need to go, you understand what I'm saying? This is going to circle back because I have disciples that are. You understand what I'm saying? So. We got to be on task. We got to look at mission, and we got to not be moved by fear. We can't be moved by, oh my gosh, if people hear this, what are they going to think? Well, they're going to think what they've been thinking for a long time.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be concerned. I'm just saying that we can't be moved by fear or we need to change these ideas, which we do.
Right.
But my thing is are we actually doing that?
Right.
Who are we talking to when we address these type of things?
Right.
Who's actually seeing those videos? Now, I'm not saying no secular person, nobody who's in Lil Nas X camp is looking at those videos, but I will probably say a very small minority of individuals are looking at that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most of it is going towards, it's an echo chamber. It's going towards the Christian community. And we can't feed into that, So anyway, I don't even know if that was helpful. I don't think we could do anything about troll culture. I think we need to get a better hold of it. This is the way marketing is today. It's troll culture.
Yeah.
I think we ought to be very wise in how we utilize our influence, and we need to make sure that we're not just engaging because we can. We ought to think about whether or not we should, and then think about what is the long-term effects of what we're doing. And then also, how are we feeding into this cycle? How do we want to be different and live different and use our platform to live and look different than the world? So I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just saying that it's a case-by-case basis. And yeah, I don't know. That's it.
All right. I agree with you. Okay.
I know. My son has this thing where he just blinks. Anytime you say something, he just blinks. But all right, that's it. Thank you for tuning in to the Church Dropout podcast. We will talk to you soon. God bless.
Good night.